We have been building since the dawn of time. Now it's time to build your home service business smarter with ServiceTitan, and Titan Pro Technologies is here to help you navigate and unlock its full potential. Welcome to Titan Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Titan Talk. I'm Jennifer Dierks. I'm the COO here at Titan Pro Technologies. And as we wait for everybody to join, please drop your name, location, company, and just put it in the chat so we know where everybody's joining us from. We're really excited. We're going to be doing the Build Better Financial Workflows. This one's very important to me. So I'm super excited about it. Would love to know again where everybody is joining us from. So just put your name, location, and your company name in the chat, and that way we know where everybody's coming from. Ooh, Tampa, Florida. Not very far from me. I'm just outside of Orlando, so very cool. I'd also like to know if this is your first time joining us or if you guys have been involved in the previous webinars. New Mexico. Welcome, welcome. Oh, PA, second visit. Welcome. Glad you're here again. Overhead Door, Indiana. We've got several different clients that we've had there. Welcome. Oh, JCAC Heating and Cooling. So nice to see you again too. Well, I don't get to see you, but virtually. Glad you're here. Hope everything's going well. First time, Rick. Very cool. Well, hopefully you'll be involved with us with some more going on. Oh, hey, Merv. I'm so glad you could join us. Grand Rapids, Michigan, Sullivan Heating Cooling, welcome. Angie, is this your first time or have you been on some of the other webinars as well? Shooting Star Services, welcome. First time, Angie, I see that. Well, welcome everybody. Just so you guys know, we have an amazing announcement at the end. So please, please make sure that you are on here. As many of you guys knew or know that we were going to be giving away Pantheon tickets. So please make sure you stay till the end because we'll be announcing who that winner is going to be. Angie, well, hopefully you'll be here several more times after that. Northern Virginia. Nice. Evelyn, welcome. So just so we can stay within our time, I've got a lot to kind of cover today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm glad everybody's starting to come in. So today's session is called Build Better Financial Workflows. And I want to be clear about what this is and what this isn't. So this isn't a theory session. We're not going to talk about accounting principles. We're going to talk about buttons, screens, reports, the actual daily workflow that determines whether your books are right or wrong. Because here's the thing, accounting in ServiceTitan doesn't have to be complicated. It gets complicated when nobody's doing it consistently. That's it. That's the whole problem. Drop questions in the chat throughout and I'll answer as we go, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end as well. So before we get into any of it, I want to tell you why I care so much about this, because it's not normal to be passionate about batching invoices. And I know that. I've been doing accounting since I was 7 years old. You heard that right, 7. My mom sat me down in front of a DOS accounting system, a green screen, keyboard commands, no mouse, none of the stuff you're used to. And she taught me how the books worked, how debits and credits balance, why every transaction has two sides. I learned accounting the way some kids learn piano, and that stuck. I went on to spend over 7 years at Bass Pro doing tax accounting, corporate, multi-state, high volume. And when you do tax accounting at that level, you learn very quickly that the numbers have to be right because somebody always checks and there's no close enough in taxes. Later on, I ran the accounting payroll for 4 Roto-Rooter businesses inside ServiceTitan. 4 at the same time. Every single day I was in there reviewing invoices, batching, posting, exporting, chasing down deposits, checking the pending export report, closing out jobs, making sure the money that came in matched the money the system said came in. So when I get into a client ServiceTitan account today and I start clicking around, I'm not guessing. I know exactly what to look for because I've been on both sides of it. I've been the person who has to make it balance at the end of the month, and I've been the person who has to explain to an owner why it doesn't. That's why this matters to me. So let's get into it. So I have 3 questions. First question is, and then I want answers in the chat. So when did you last batch, post, and export to your accounting software? Was it today? Was it this week? Was it this month? Honestly, I don't know. And what's batching? So let's stop there for a second. 2 weeks ago, Emily. Now I know better than that. I didn't train you that way for sure. We'll have to talk. This morning, daily, love it. Okay, so we've got some good dailies. We've got some of this mornings. I love that. Welcome from Lansing, Michigan again this morning. Good. Batched and posted. Still we're figuring out our workflow. Emily, give me a call. Batched and posted last night daily. Great, guys. These are good. I'm glad to hear this. This makes me feel a lot better because I know we work with a lot of clients that some of them just don't know, so we want to make sure you guys are always doing that. Now, the second question is, do you know how many jobs are sitting open in your account right now? Is it under 20, 50-ish, a few hundred? I'm afraid to look. Never checked. That's one of the other things we're going to talk about of what we see pretty commonly. So does anybody have an idea, or you just haven't checked, don't know how to check? If you guys want to go ahead and answer that, that'd be great as well. Ooh, I'm not getting any answers. Oh, we got 13. Okay. Let's see. Do not know. Okay. How to check. Okay. We'll definitely be going over that. 15, that's good. Not sure about the jobs. Okay. So see, that's what we find a lot of. We'll be able to go through and show you guys what that looks like too. Most likely haven't checked. Yeah. Wait till we get through. There's some that I've found that there's been hundreds. So we'll be talking about that for sure. Then now the third question is, does your accounts receivable number feel right to you? Do you trust it? It's close? No, and I know it's wrong, or I have a spreadsheet instead. Nice. Okay. So no, it's not right. It's close. Emily, good. That's a good thing too. You trust the numbers. Okay. No, not trust. Okay. Well, guys, these are all reasons you really need to reach out to Titan Pro. We can definitely help with that. So as we kind of go down, so I want to show you 3 things I've actually found in real ServiceTitan accounts recently, not 5 years ago. The first one, I found 8 pages of invoices that have never been batched. 8 pages. That's actually not the highest, but that's the most recent one. The highest one I think was 80 pages. Not one batch was created. Invoices going back months, sitting in ServiceTitan. never sent to QuickBooks. And here's what that means practically. That's revenue that exists in ServiceTitan and exists nowhere else. Their P&L was missing it. The AR was missing it. And if they sold the business, the buyer's due diligence would have found a gap and nobody would have been able to explain it. And their accounts receivable was never correct, not once. Because how could it be, right? A third of the invoices had never left the building. Second one, I found 900 jobs. That's not a typo. That's 900 jobs, right? So when we find that much, right? So the work was done, customers were served. Some of them had even paid, so they didn't even recognize the revenue. They were never marked as complete, and ServiceTitan only counts completed jobs as revenue. So none of that money showed up on their dashboard. None of it showed up in their reporting, and they're making business decisions on numbers that were wrong by 6 figures. The third one is $0 invoices. And this one's a little different because it's not a workflow failure, it's a fear problem. Every account I go into, somebody's scared of these, right? Nobody knows how they hit QuickBooks or whether they do it all or what happens if they touch them. So they just sit there, piling up, blocking the view of everything else. But here's the good news on all three. Every single one of these is fixable. Most of them inside a week. The hard part isn't the fix, it's knowing where to look. So 4 areas today, right? All of them are operational. 1, there's the invoice review, batching, posting, and exporting. The daily workflow, plus the one report that finds every problem. 2, deposits, and specifically the mobile side and the office side. Yes, it is recorded, so you'll definitely it'll be available for you afterwards, right? So let's see, where was I at? I'm sorry. 3, open jobs and job costing integrity. Why 900 open jobs is a revenue problem and where the costs break. 4, the daily rhythm and monthly close, because staying on it daily is the whole game. Everything else is just cleanup. So let's start with the workflow itself. This is what I run every single day for 4 businesses. 5 steps, 1 order every day, and review, batch, post, export, verify. So step 1 is to review. The invoice gets reviewed and the job gets marked completed. If the job isn't complete, the invoice won't show up in your unbatched list at all. It's invisible. Step 2 is batch. You go to the accounting, batch, export transactions, and then you group your invoices into a named batch. Name it clearly because you can't rename a batch after you've created it. I like to use the dates, and then I also mark it with like an I for invoices and a P for payments. So step 3 is where you're going to post. It locks the batch and signals that it's ready to go. You can unpost it if you find a mistake, but once it's exported, you can't unpost. So review before you post. Step 4 is export. And here's the rule that trips up more people than anything else. Export invoices first, then export payments in separate batches. If you send the payments before invoices, you get an error on every payment. It's a separate batches. Separate batches invoices first, always. Step 5, verify. Go look. The invoice statuses should read exported. If it still says batched or posted, the export didn't finish and you need to know that today, not at month end. Now, the most important thing I'm going to say in this entire session is do this daily, which most of you guys are doing. Great. Thank you, by the way. Not weekly, not at month end, daily. The businesses that stay clean batch within 24 hours of a job being completed. And the ones I find with 8 pages of unbatched invoices, they didn't start that way. They skipped a day, then a week, then a month, and then it felt too big to deal with, so nobody dealt with it. 15 minutes a day prevents 3-week month end. That's the trade. So What I want to show you is a real account, not a mock-up, not a demo tenant, a real ServiceTitan account. This is accounting, invoices, the review status, 3 cards across the top. Needs review, on hold, and reviewed in the last 30 days. Look at the needs review card, $84,272.47. And underneath of it, $1,339 not sent. So what that means is those invoices don't exist, right? They're not there, right? The work was done, the customers were served, but every one of them is still sitting in needs review, which means none of them have been batched, none of them have been exported, and none of the $84,000 in their accounting system. And look at the reviewed in last 30 days card, $0. Nobody's touched the screen in a month. Now scroll down to the invoice list itself. Look at the invoice total column. You've got $142.50, then a $0 invoice, then $8-9 invoices, and then some dollar invoices. Those zeros are part of what's clogging this queue, and we'll deal with those specifically in a few minutes. This is a step 1 of the daily workflow. Clear the screen because every single invoice sitting in needs review is revenue that's not been recognized anywhere, not in ServiceTitan reporting and not in QuickBooks and not in the owner's P&L. Once invoices are reviewed, this is where you live. Accounting, batch, export transactions. That's unbatched tab at the top. There's everything, that's everything waiting to be grouped and sent. And if you're not on this screen daily, this list only grows. Now look at all those tiles. Every payment type in the account with its running totals. So you've got your cash, your Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, check, and the refund types. So the biggest thing here is being able to see all of those broken down and making sure that everybody's turning everything in. God love our technicians. They don't always turn everything in. So being able to monitor and track how your checks are being in, if you're using mobile check capture, but making sure everything's making it over to the bank the way that it should be. Let's see. Now the invoice list underneath, business unit, invoice number, project number, technician, completed date, customer location, type, total, balance. Look at the total column on these rows. There's $0. So $0, these are the ones that will not export without a task on them. So if you have an actual task and it's $0, they will go over into your accounting system. If they have nothing on them, they will not move at all or export over into your QuickBooks or Intact or whatever it is you're using for your accounting system. So they're the ones that won't export with a task on without a task on them, and they'll sit in your pending export report forever until somebody bypasses them. One more thing on the screen, see the downloaded Excel link right above the invoices list? If you're working a backlog, pull the whole unbatched list into a spreadsheet, sort it, work it systematically, check items off. That's how you dig out of the hole without losing your mind. And the question I get the most is, what if an invoice isn't here at all? 3 checks in order is the job marked complete. So one of my big questions that I have is how many of you guys have $0 invoices just sitting on this screen and you don't know what to do with them? Anybody? Or does everybody been exporting them? Okay. Emily, thank you for being honest with that. They don't go over, I mean, the biggest thing that's going over is your customer details. So like their name, their information, that's going over into your accounting system. But the $0 aren't going over. They're not going to affect it. Not on this screen. So Kayla, what does that mean? Perfect. Good to know. You're running a report every thing. So for jobs that were billed entirely in follow-up visits. Okay. We do. Well, we definitely want to talk with you. I don't export the transactions, or ops manager does, but you don't see any in there. So that's good. That's good. They're your recalls. Okay. Perfect. It's not going to hurt anything to batch them together. They're not going to go over with anything unless they have an actual task on them. Okay. So do you see it on let's see. Are you seeing it on this screen on the invoices review? Got it. Okay. Perfect. Yep. So if you're getting them moved into the review, you wouldn't see them after that. So perfect. All right. So the next thing is going to be the pending export report. How many of you guys know what the pending export report is and what the purpose of it is? Has anybody ever looked at the pending export report? I guess is the better question I should ask. Okay. You've not used it yet. You have not. Okay. So just so everybody knows, right? The pending export report tells you what hasn't gone to QuickBooks yet, but it doesn't tell you whether doesn't tell you whether what did go over actually matches. That's a different question, and there's a different report for that. The AR reconciliation report, the reports and accounting, and then there's the AR reconciliation. It's a built-in ServiceTitan template. You don't have to build it. This is the report that you use to tie your ServiceTitan accounts receivable to the AR in your accounting system. And there are 3 rules. So when you go into this pending export report, so if you've got a batch that did not export or it says that there's an error or there's something you need to check, you're going to go there to be able to go to this, right? So there's 3 rules. If you get any of these wrong, it won't tie out and you'll spend an afternoon chasing a gap that isn't real. Rule 1, and this is the one everybody misses, right? You set the filter status to exported. Only exported transactions exist in the accounting system. So what it shows you, every transaction that's been posted but not yet exported. So invoices and payments both. Once the transaction exports successfully, it drops off of this report. So it's only going to show you those errors. Where the errors live, so export errors appear in the export ID column. If a price book item isn't mapped, that's one of the errors, to a GL account, that error shows on the very top of the report. Some of the other errors that come up is maybe you put the name wrong. So say you updated the customer's name in ServiceTitan, but you didn't update it into your accounting system. It doesn't match. It doesn't know where to go. Or you've already sent over the invoice, but now you're trying to send over the payment. The names don't match. That's another issue when it tries to go over it. Some of the other errors that we see is if you've put too much into your description of your service task, if it's over 4,000 characters, that's another reason that it'll error out. So those are some of those things you kind of watch and make sure that, correcting those as they go over. So what clean looks like, right? So an empty report, if you batch post and export daily and this report comes back empty, your money is where it should be. So the pro move is schedule this report to email itself to you every morning. If it arrives empty, you're clean. If it has rows on it, before your bookkeeper does, set it and it does the check for you. So it's 4,000 characters. So the error that comes up is it says like a string length error or something like that. The most you can put into a task item is 4,000, you want to keep it under 4,000 characters because that's where you can get a lot of errors for it going over. So the other thing is your AR reconciliation report. The pending export report tells you what hasn't gone yet. This one tells you whether what did go actually matches. So this one is the reports and accounting, AR reconciliation. It's built into ServiceTitan. The filter status is exported. This is the one people miss. Only exported transactions exist in the accounting system. So if you're doing QuickBooks, Intact, or whatever it is, any other status won't reconcile. Use the same date range. So run ServiceTitan and your accounting system on identical dates. A 1 day difference will show a false gap every time. So direct entries won't appear. So if you're putting anything in there, which we found that before too, that people were afraid to export or do anything with it, If they're basically double entering, so say they're doing it in ServiceTitan, then they're going over and putting it into their accounting system. If you're doing anything outside of ServiceTitan, it won't appear. You're going to have those differences anyway. So it'll never show in this report. So there's columns on the report. So it's got your customer name, the invoices, reference numbers, dates, the customer type, everything else. It's got all those details in there. And then the balance column is what you're tying to. So if ServiceTitan's total and your accounting system's AR total match on the same date with status exported, you're reconciled. So you're good. So you want to use that report for when you're going to do that. So let's go into the next one. So here's some of the errors I was kind of talking about, right? So report came back with rows on it. Let's fix them. So 5 errors, right? So the item not mapped to a GL account. We see a lot of them that'll say they don't have a revenue account in their QuickBooks. Making sure that your GL accounts are correct and set up correctly based off the price book items. And that's where those live. I think we talked about last month the fact that if you're not putting those to revenue accounts on for your dashboards, they won't show up under revenue. So we want to make sure anything that we're putting to our service tasks, or even if we're charging for material or equipment, that we're putting those to income accounts and not to cost of goods accounts. So we want to be careful of that, but it will notify you if that account does not work when going over there. I think Emily can attest to that with JCAC, because whenever we're first implementing into ServiceTitan, that's the biggest thing, is making sure that everything is feeding over into your QuickBooks correctly. So settings, price book, open the item, assign the GL account. The error shows at the top of the pending export report. Payments exported before invoices. So export the invoice batch first, then export payments on their own separate batch. $0 invoice with no task won't export, so bypass it on the pending export report. Select it and click set as exported and bypass the QuickBooks. The other thing also you'll kind of also see is any of those payments that maybe it couldn't process, or like credit cards, especially if it says that there was a failed payment for whatever reason, those can also gum up your pending export report. Duplicate invoice numbers in QBO. Yeah, we can get those to you guys as well. But duplicate invoice numbers in QB, there is a way to go in there. So if you have, say you're basically just converting over from another system, everything's been imported into ServiceTitan, and maybe there's some numbers that may have matched from your previous system, you can actually go in and change the invoice number if you needed to in ServiceTitan so that you can officially get it over. So if it's the same invoice, you can definitely go in and change that. Invoice not on the report at all. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this should have been closed out, you'll want to go in and find those jobs. And again, there's different job reports that you can run to find out if they're still open and be able to read those statuses. One of the instances, the one I told you about that had 900 open, we were able to, I think it was almost $90,000 in revenue that was never recognized. So we want to be really cautious with that. Let's go here. So let's talk about the $0 invoices, because I've never walked into an account where somebody wasn't a little bit scared of these, and I get it. Nobody explains them. So the story people tell themselves is, I don't know what this does to QuickBooks, so I'm going to leave it alone. And then there's like 40 of them. And then here's what actually happens, right? There's 2 kinds: a $0 invoice with a task on it, that'll go over. So even if you put, like, this is a warranty, if this is a recall, whatever, if you're using those tasks, those will go over. They will go into your accounting system. If they're literally 0, nothing happened, payments usually come in before invoices are approved and exported. How do we know when the invoice is exported so we can export the payment? We can get more than 100 payments a day. Like I said, you can still do that. It'll give you kind of a warning. You can still send them over. You just because normally you're getting deposits on work that's going to be coming. Um, you can still send them over. It'll just say, hey, these invoices, and a list like the invoices that um, have not been batch posted or exported. And you can always, like ServiceTitan always says, are you sure? I always tell everybody, you cannot click through these without something saying, are you sure this is what you want to do? So we want to make sure that we're good to be able to send those over, and those will just live on the customer especially if they are deposits. But you're still fine. It's just normally you want to make sure you're doing them in that order. Um, okay, so in the pending export report, select that invoice and click Set as Exported, bypass QuickBooks. That tells ServiceTitan, I've handled this. Stop showing it to me. Your report goes clean. And why do these even happen? They're just they're totally legitimate reasons, like warranty work, callbacks, a membership covered a visit, a job that got created and shouldn't have been, all normal. You just have to handle them so they don't pile up and block your view of the stuff that actually matters. So there's the call outs with that. So speaking of deposits, so deposits and progress billing, I want to frame this a little differently than most people do. A deposit isn't one workflow, it's two. There's the mobile side. Let me get back on here. So there's the mobile side. Deposits are collected on the estimate page, not the invoice page, the estimate page. This is the single most common thing techs get wrong, and I've retrained entire field teams on just this one thing. The flow is tech sells the job, customer pays the deposit on the estimate, and that payment is attached to the estimate and follows it all the way through the project or the next job. Clean. So if your tech takes it on the invoice instead, it lands in the wrong place and somebody in the office has to untangle it. So let's just say it's a $0 invoice because obviously you've sold something for doing later. If they literally just leave it there, it doesn't follow and track through that estimate. So it's one of those situations on the office side. They have to unapply that payment, make sure it gets paid, moved to the correct invoice for that new install or the new work that's going to be done. So we want to make sure that those are always following those through. So let's see. So if you take one thing back to your field team from today, it's the estimate page. Office side, accounting, 2 jobs. First, verify the deposit landed on the right project and that it's or project or job, and that it's sitting in your deposit liability account, not in the revenue. Second, and this is the one that gets missed, is when the job completes, the deposit has to be applied to the final invoice. So until somebody catches it, and all of this depends on setup being right first. So settings, invoice, and then there's the payment collections. This is one of my favorite workflows, by the way, guys. So I get a little excited about this. So the enable deposit workflow. How many of you guys, this is going to be a good question. How many of you guys have made sure that that is set up in your account for the deposit workflow? Does anybody know what the deposit workflow is? We got crickets. No idea. Emily, I know yours is done. So just so you know, it's one of my favorite parts of it. So the reason I bring this up, right? So there's a feature in ServiceTitan that came out some time ago. Because what used to frustrate me with my techs in the field was that they would take the payment, but at the time it would just sit out there. And if I didn't notice that that payment and that new job got booked, that money wouldn't get moved. So the guys would go out, they would do the install, and when they did that install, they would take whatever's left to be paid. That credit on their account never got moved to that new job, new install, or new invoice. And so we'd end up having to do refunds. It was just a big mess. So when they came out with the deposit workflow, it now, so if they take and hit that deposit or pay deposit in the field, it automatically lives kind of attached to that estimate. So when you book it into that new install, new job, money moves automatically. So you didn't even have to touch it, you didn't have to move it, none of that stuff. It just moves right with the new install, new invoice. The deposit workflow does work with Keepio, so it'll actually attach when the invoices and everything else come over and match. So you can actually send that deposit over. It lives on the customer, and be able to use it that way. But the other side of it is from the office side, and I actually have like a whole thing I can share with you guys that kind of walks through all of this. But the biggest thing is from the office side, if they do need to call the customer to get that deposit, they can do that on the estimate from the office side. And it'll do essentially the same thing. So there's like a little actions button on the sold estimate, and you can take that deposit over the phone, or maybe they send in a check, however it is. But that way, again, that workflow will move and it'll take it over right over to that new install, new job. So that is one of those. It is my favorite. I do make sure everybody is always set up with that. I always go through that discussion of how that works, because I always want to make sure that that money moves because I know what a pain that is. So absolutely. So if you guys are having any frustration with that, please again reach out. We want to make sure we can help you. Glad to know that I don't know what FOHD stands for, but great job. Love that you guys are using the deposit workflow. But again, that's one of those things we like to go through when we do an analysis as well to make sure that those are getting done. Um, so definitely within here, right? That's how those flow through. I apologize. My mic all of a sudden just went down. So anyway, so then the next one is going to be your progress billing. So still in pillar 2, this one goes with deposits because it's the same conversation. Getting paid as you go instead of all at the end. So progress billing. So on a long install, if you wait until the job is completely finished to send one invoice, you are financing the job for your customer. You paid for equipment, you paid your techs, you're carrying all of this up until the completion, and that's a cash flow problem you created yourself. So here's how you can set up in ServiceTitan. So step 1 is create a price book service item for each billing phase. And these aren't real services, they're billing placeholders. Name them something obvious, rough and complete, equipment delivered, final walkthrough. You don't need to set a price on the price book because you'll enter the actual amount of the invoice. Step 2, when you hit a milestone, go to the project, click actions, add invoice, add the milestone item, and set the amount. Step 3, post that invoice when the milestone is actually reached, not before. And then on the final invoice, apply the deposit against the balance. Here's the example on the screen, an $18,500 job, 40% when equipment is delivered, 7,400, 30% at completion, the final 3,550. Now you're never out of pocket more than a few weeks at a time. 3 mistakes I see consistently is 1, no price spec items for the phases. So the team just types custom line items into the invoice. Those don't track to anything, and your reporting on milestone billing has holes in it forever. 2, posting the invoice before the milestone is actually reached. Revenue is recognized when you post. So post an equipment delivery invoice where the equipment shows up and you've just put revenue on the wrong month. And if that crosses the month end boundary, your close is wrong. 3, the deposit never gets cleared. The final invoice goes out for the full remaining balance. Nobody applies the deposit against it, and now that deposit sits in an open credit on the customer account. So your AR is overstated by that amount every month until somebody catches it. And I found these 2 years old. One note, progress billing needs the projects and progress billing features enabled on your account. If you don't see them, that's going to be a conversation with your CSM. I'm a little cautious with this. I'll always be honest with you and I'll always tell you why some of these things aren't always the best thing. You can always do an estimate, build it out in several different stages. So a lot of like new construction, things like that, where you've got that like rough-in, setting of the equipment and then your startup. You can build those out in several different jobs within a project. But the only reason I make this call out is it's not fully built out if you're really focused on your ROI on marketing. Because it breaks that workflow. It's not actually built from an estimate. It's part of like a contract within the project, and then you bill those invoices accordingly. So it's not necessarily billed on the jobs correctly. But I just want to make that call out. So if it matters to you of how your revenue gets recognized, especially on the dashboard, if you'd like to have it right under revenue, or if you like to be able to show it as non-job revenue is the way it'll come up, but your marketing dollars won't attribute. There's a whole story I can tell you about that. So if you guys ever reach out, but I can explain why that can cause a bit of a problem later on. So, how does that work while you also billing the services themselves? Emily, reach out. I think you still have my number. Reach out. We can definitely talk about this a little bit further too. So the pillar 3, right, is open jobs, right? They're not counting as your revenue. That's not my opinion. That's how ServiceTitan works. Only jobs marked complete show up as revenue on your dashboard. An open job is invisible to your revenue reporting. So when I found 900 open jobs in one account, work had been done, customers had been served, and some of them had even paid. So in ServiceTitan had never counted a single dollar of it. Their revenue reports were wrong by 6 figures. They had absolutely no idea because nothing looked broken. There's no error message for this. The number is just quietly lower than reality. Why does that happen? 4 reasons, and you probably have all 4. The tech didn't close it out in the field. Jobs left open and mobile. Nobody revisits it. Waiting on parts or return visit. That one's legitimate, but it needs a status and a follow-up date, not just an open job sitting there indefinitely. The invoice never got reviewed. Jobs in limbo waiting for somebody in the office to touch it. And the big one, nobody owns the open job list. If it's not on somebody's daily or weekly list, it doesn't get worked ever. Here's what I want you to do, but I want you to run an open job list weekly. Anything older than 14 days needs either a reason or completion. That's it. That one habit would save that client 6 figures of reporting accuracy. So there is a way to go in and run those reports. You want to be able to see it if anything's open. Another way is also looking on your dispatch board at the bottom tray. If there's just jobs piling up, sitting there, not scheduled, anything like that, you want to watch that. Watch your pauses, watch your whole jobs. Those are some of the others that can also build up and not get anything done with. So, and I always get those of, well, we're working on it. Work on it daily, if not weekly. So some of your breakdown points for job costing, right? So a quick pass on the job costing because this connects directly to whether your margins mean anything. So the 5 breakdown points is blank price book cost fields. So that means in your material, there's nothing even listed as to an expense for it. A 0 cost means 100% margin on every job that the item touches. Export your price book, filter for blank cost fields, enter the real costs, which we do. We have price book build outs that we do. We actually get your actual material costs and details in there as well. That's a 2-hour project that fixes your margin reporting permanently. Labor burden not flowing. Again, we've got things we can show you guys how to do the labor burden setup in there as well. And then including in payroll. So if they're not checked on the technician or the pay type doesn't match how they're actually paid, hourly techs get the hourly, commission techs gets commission, both only if they genuinely earn both. Check every technician and that there's POs never marked as received. Until a PO is received, it's a committed cost, not an actual cost. So the job looks more profitable than it is until somebody receives it. Change orders happening outside of ServiceTitan, a change order in an email doesn't exist in the job costing. That extra cost is invisible. Process every change order in ServiceTitan and projects closed too early. Once you close a project, cost calculations freeze. Anything that lands after that, a late PO receipt, a change order, won't show up. So don't close until everything's in. You can do adjustment invoices if needed, but make sure that the guys are putting, or just the guys, your technicians are putting in either their purchase orders, or you're pulling those from the office, or that you guys have got material costing as well in there so that those you can actually see your gross profit. So the daily rhythm and monthly close is the real thesis of the entire session, right? So the businesses I work with that have clean books are not smarter than the ones that don't. They're not better at accounting. They don't have better bookkeepers. They're just consistent. So daily review of completed invoices, batch, post, export invoices, then batch and export payments separately. Check the pending export report. That's 15 minutes weekly. If you want to run it, the open job list, that's another check for it. Anything 14 days or older gets worked. Verify deposits landed correctly. Confirm POs are marked received. Monthly, the full close checklist is AR aging review and sending out those statements. Review by business unit verification. Sign off and tell your bookkeeper that the month is done. If you do the daily list, your monthly close takes like an hour. If you skip the daily list, your monthly close takes 3 weeks and you're guessing at half of it. The other thing I always find is when people wait too long, and if they've done non-job events where they clicked needs a timesheet and nobody clocked into that timesheet and overlapped a job, that's another thing that can hold up on your batching and your posting. So that's another thing to kind of watch. But yeah, it's 15 minutes a day. Take the 15 minutes, do what you need to do, and clean up those books as you go through. So the 10 steps in order, right? All invoices reviewed, nothing left in needs review. All jobs marked complete, open job list work down. All POs marked received or voided. All change orders processed in ServiceTitan. Invoices batched, posted, and exported. Verified, exported. Payments batched, posted, exported separately. Pending export report run, errors resolved or bypassed. AR reconciliation run, status exported, same dates, tied to the QB. Deposits verified in liability account or cleared. Payroll processed, AR aging reviewed, and sign off. So we want to make sure we're getting through those every month. So I have a quick quiz, right? So your revenue report shows 340,000 for the month. Your bookkeeper QuickBooks shows 291,000. That's a $49,000 gap. You check the accounting screen, everything in the batch tab shows as exported. You check your dashboard, the numbers there match ServiceTitan, not QuickBooks. So where do you look first, right? The pending export report, find what were posted but never exported. Your open, Emily, your open job list, jobs not marked complete, never counted. QuickBooks asked the bookkeeper to rerun the report, and both A and B in that order. So if you guys want to give me an answer on that, that'd be great. Perfect. Yeah. So Emily and I'm not sure how to pronounce the other one, but D is absolutely correct, right? So the answer is D, and the order genuinely matters. So running the pending export report first, because it's the fastest answer, it shows you every transaction that posted but never made it to QuickBooks. Your $49,000 gap is very likely sitting right there with an error code next to it. That's 5-minute diagnosis, and then check your open jobs because that's the silent one. Those jobs never counted as revenue in ServiceTitan either, so they don't show up as a discrepancy between the two systems. They're just missing from both, which means nobody ever finds them by comparing reports because both reports agree and both reports are wrong. That's the one that costs the most and gets caught the least. And then third, AR reconciliation. So status exported, same date range as QuickBooks. That is where the actual tie out happens and where you'll see whether the remaining difference is real. So C is wrong because your bookkeeper is bad, but bookkeeper is bad, but because you should never send someone hunting in QuickBooks before you've cleaned up ServiceTitan. Fix the source, then compare. That's a good statement always to have, especially if you're coming into ServiceTitan, if you're getting new to ServiceTitan, or you're just onboarding on ServiceTitan. I always suggest if you're new to ServiceTitan, you're just getting on, make sure whatever you have in your books and what you're going to be bringing over, make sure it's clean before you bring it over to ServiceTitan. It's never a good time to clean it up in ServiceTitan. Clean it up in your accounting first. Make sure you've got clean data coming into ServiceTitan. You'll thank me for that later. So, okay, so let me go back. Let's see, where are we at here? So, one of the things here, right? So, pick one thing, tell us in the chat, not all of it, one thing this week. This week, run the pending export report, batch and export whatever's sitting there, bypass the $0 invoices blocking your review, pull your open jobs list and work it down. And make sure to enable the deposit workflow with general liability, fixed blank price book costs, build the daily rhythm this quarter, and with named owners, schedule the pending export report to email daily, run the full close checklist. And if you want us to look at your account, please reach out to us. The QR code is in the top right-hand corner. That way we can see what we can do, kind of look through your accounting, see if we can't clean that up for you and see how we can help you. So, just so you know, before we wrap up, we have one more exciting announcement, right? So Titan Pro Technologies is giving away 2 tickets to Pantheon, and it's a time to announce our winner. Yay! So, like I said in the beginning, to be eligible, you must have been here with us live and respond in the chat when your name is called. The winner of the 2 tickets to Pantheon is my sound guy is a little behind here. It is Brian Ortons. So please let us know in the chat that you're here and that you are listening. So Brian, if you're here, put it in the chat, and you have to be here. So if you've just jumped off, we'll go on to the next person. So Brian, are you there? Are we seeing anything come through from Brian? Oh, I'll take them. Yes, you would, honey. Let's see. I'm not seeing Brian sending anything back. Neri, can you even see if Brian's on still? All right. Well, Brian, you've just missed out. So if you're not here, so we're going to go down the list, guys. If you're here, make sure and respond pretty quickly. So the next one's going to be the next winner, because Brian's not here. It's going to be Kim McClintock. Kim, if you're here, put your name in the list. Oh man, Kim's not here either. All right. Well, Kim, you just got passed up as well. So the next one. Oh no. So Kim, okay, so you won't be able to go anyway. Okay. Perfect. So we'll go on to the next one. So let me pull up the list. So bear with me just a second. Who is I'm here? What's your name on I'm here? Not Kim. Not sure what that means. Oh, you're wanting them. You want those tickets. I got you. Got it. Okay. So let's see. Let me pull up the list here. So the next one on the list, give me one sec, guys. Let me step off here for a minute. I got to find that list again. Hold on. Okay, the next one on the list is going to be Jonah Franklin. Jonah Franklin. Jonah, are you here? Or Jonna? All right. Yeah, Jonna's not in here either. All right, they're still sending me through, guys. I'm sorry. We're having some technical difficulties. They're sending me the different ones as they go through. We're just kind of randomly picking through. I know it's really hard to give these tickets away. Oh, the next one I just got. Actually, Emily, it looks like it's you. So Emily Rogers. So Emily, raise the roof. You just got 2 tickets to Pantheon. Perfect. Love it. All right, guys. So just to let you guys know, right? We are actually proud sponsors at Pantheon this year. So be ready for it. Emily, you are actually going to be reached out to by our sales team. So be ready for that as well. But make sure, guys, when you come to Pantheon, if you're coming to Pantheon, make sure to stop by our booth, meet the team, ask questions about your ServiceTitan setup, talk through operational and financial challenges, learn where your workflows may be creating unnecessary friction, discover ways to improve visibility, efficiency, and accountability across your business. And if you guys have been paying attention, there is the QR code that's been on here the whole time. Please, please, guys, reach out. We want to be able to help you. I love all the interaction from everybody this month. This has been amazing. It's always hard when I'm just talking to myself and reading chats, but you guys have been great. I love the responses. I love how involved you guys have been. We definitely want to make sure we can help you guys out. And we're going to turn it over to the Q&A. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, we will make sure we also provide this for you guys so you guys can see these slides. And again, I would love to have those conversations so that we can get you guys moving on. But do you guys have any questions about whatever we went over today? Thank you. Thank you. That means so much to me. I'm so glad. I love it when I get contacted by different people saying that they saw the webinar and everything else. So makes it all really well worth it. Oh, Kevin. So there is not an actual native open job report. You can do a custom report. And if you want to email me at Jennifer, so it's Jennifer at titanprotechnologies.com. I can send you over what those columns are and how to go get those to do the that report as a custom report, and then be able to set it up also if you wanted to, about making sure that that goes out daily, weekly, monthly, however you want to do that. So and again, congratulations, Emily. Thank you for being heavily involved. Sorry about that. We had a whole list. We had like 80 something people on the webinar today. So I'm really excited I guess just some of them just didn't stay until the very end. So, um, and again, my email is jennifer@titanprotechnologies.com. I'll send you over what that list looks like. And also make sure you book a call with us today. We would love to be able to help you guys out. And again, it's in that QR code up in the top right hand corner. Um, let's see. We have old invoices in unbatched list. We transferred in from another CRM. I select batch, but it does nothing and they do not fall off. Oh, is it because they might not have an invoice date? That happens. They'll still show up on that. Let me go back a little bit here. Where's my screenshots here? So in here, make sure that there's an invoice date. Maybe if there wasn't one because they did get imported over, that might be part of your problem, Angie. So yeah, you guys will also, we will make sure you guys have this information afterwards. So they do have invoice dates. Angie, reach out to us. I would love to take a look at it and see how we can help. But yeah, so guys, we'll make sure the webinar is available and the graphics and stuff are available if you guys want to get those as well. I appreciate you guys. I know we've gone over a little bit. This has been a great webinar with everybody. We appreciate you guys immensely. And again, reach out to us, guys. We always want to help. We want to make sure you guys know what's going on and how you guys are going through it. So please reach out to us, sign up, book a call today. And remember, we'll be at Pantheon. We're actually one of their sponsors. So be ready when you get there. You'll see Titan Pro all over everything. We appreciate you guys. Be good to each other. Have a wonderful week. And I'll see you guys next month. Thanks, guys.
We have been building since the dawn of time. Now it's time to build your home service business smarter with ServiceTitan. And Titan Pro Technologies is here to help you navigate and unlock its full potential. Welcome to Titan Talk.